The NEVERS is about a bunch of outcasts with particular abilities that have kind of come out of nowhere. The Touched are the group of people who were spored by this being.
It came 3 years ago. Not one case of someone being touched before then.
The Touched mostly consists of people who would be without power in Victorian society.
There's not a lot understood about the Touched, so I think there's a lot of fear around it and a lot of ignorance.
We heard about those girls. They're not right.
Being touched is not a defect of character.
We've come to help with what's been troubling you. Would you like that?
The orphanage is a kind of a refuge for the Touched. Lavinia Bidlow and Amalia originally set it up.
Lavinia's giving a safe haven for the Touched where they won't be discriminated against.
With the orphanage, the world becomes around this house. The courtyard becomes a part of the storytelling. And so I think it sort of felt sheltering for them all.
It's a place where they can understand their turns and feel safe. Turns are the word we use for powers.
A turn gives its recipient the ability to do something that nobody else can do.
Amalia's turn is a rippling. She has these flash forwards into the future that she has no context for. So they're not always useful. Right.
Penance can see electricity. That helps her invent mad contraptions.
It's only a prototype.
The workshop let you into Penance's mad head a bit.
All the crazy things that she has make her this wonderful character that she is.
Dr. Horatio Cousins heals wounds without any tools.
Lucy breaks anything she touches.
Annie's turn is fire, so she's able to harness it, but not in like a whimsy way.
Mary has this voice that she emits, rallies everyone together and gives them a sense of hope.
The NEVERS is really unique, the way it blends history and science fiction and fantasy. The Victorian era was this incredibly important era, which everything was changing. The car had come along, women's lives were changing, and communication was starting to be instantaneous.
What the hell is all this? We're installing a telephone, not a trapeze.
The Victorian Empire was at its height. It was all downhill, really, from the 1890s. So that's what makes Lord Masson this kind of villainous figure. He's out there trying to protect the British Empire.
The Touched are rewriting the rules of reality. I want them under control.
Amalia has been given the role of leader of the Touched. She has aimed to bring them together because she knows that there is some kind of mission involved.
All those girls we went after who've just run away, they've been doing this for some time.
One of Amalia's biggest problems is that she's not quite sure who her enemies are. She knows Melody, who is touched, is an enemy, but she doesn't know what Melody's aim is.
The Touched, their defiance is at a fever pitch.
For a lot of the others, there are public faces to them that seem like they're not enemies, but that she has very good reason to suspect they are.
The Touched is this representation of a group that has unknown qualities, and we as a society have to cope with this new arrival.
It results in the Touched being extremely wary of their surroundings and never being entirely certain who to trust in any given point.
You know what a better world could be like.
It's a fantasy.
The show has so much to say on the idea of compassion and how we connect to each other as human beings. The people who don't hold the power are having to fight for equality. and it just seems to be so in context of the world that we're in right now.
The opera is a huge event in society, and it's the first time that a lot of our characters are going to meet each other.
Lavinia is trying to sort of display her best subjects from the touched and show that they are socially acceptable. She invites her very conventional and slightly sinister friend, Lord Masson, along to show off how brilliant her young subjects are.
I take it then that you are yourselves among the afflicted.
Touched, yes. We don't consider ourselves afflicted.
There's a power play between Masson and Amalia. He's the old power, I guess she represents the new power, and neither one of them is going to give that up easily.
For him, the way things are should be a very patriarchal model as it was before, and the real problem is that these women who are touched around London represent something very unsettling to the social model. There's a harmony to our world that's worth preserving.
As I understand it, a harmony is made up of different voices sounding different notes.
Yes, and one is always above the other.
Up there, please. Straight away again, please, guys. First position.
The thing that stands out about the week that we were filming at the Opera was the heat that we were filming in.
Well, we're filming in Wimbledon Theatre, which is just the kind of perfect space for it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous theatre. And in amongst that, we had these opera singers who were just absolutely fabulous.
The kind of camaraderie that comes from being in woolen tuxedos inside an ancient building in like 95-100-degree heat is special.
And in a weird way, I think that helped the scene because it was uncomfortable and strange.
I killed the devil.
Melody is a force of wonderful chaos. She comes out on that opera stage and she is enraged, she is vengeful.
Did you all come in hats? Now all of your brains are naked. No. Malady means disease in French. I don't think she intends to go there to kill the elite of society en masse, but that's what ends up happening. She's somebody that I want to hug all the time, you know, because people aren't born that vindictive or as a terrorist. They become it because of something within their past, and that's what resonated with me.
The opera scene was my first experience of Amy playing Melody, and it was incredible to see what she was bringing out of that character and how she was able to perform literally on that stage.
As an actress, you dream of a role like this. That's no mean feat, playing Melody. I went back to what we used to do at drama school, so the words come last. It's all about who she is and what she feels, what's her trigger, what it feels like to be lonely, to be this solitary existence. It's taken me down some random paths, the research that I go into actually, and some, really squirmish places that I get to. Why am I here?
Melody's got this constant war with herself. It's very hard when you're doing somebody that is that damaged. We did so many different looks on her. We went to the absolute extreme where we was kind of almost doing comedy Joker stuff, and then we pulled it back. The inspiration almost come from modern day punk. Her hair is really messed up, do you know what I mean? And when she puts on her makeup, you literally go, there we go.
Every time I got in her garb, there was like a flick of a switch that just went off in my mind each time. Either I am here for a reason or for a bonfire.
Be quiet now.
The opera scene was a lot of fun. It's one of the first things that we actually shot, so to be sort of finding the character, you know, straight off in a scene that's that important was quite intense. We had these great big rigs of blue light that sort of went around me and changed as we shot it. and it's visually kind of arresting and haunting at the same time.
We used a light effect that's not really meant to symbolize an actual visible light that everyone in the room saw. It's sort of, here's what it feels like, and you can see who's touched and who's not. And certain people are off camera and you don't know whether there's a light on them or not. They're purposefully kept ambiguous. But we saw, for example, that Augie is touched, which is a reveal.
I don't think Augie's got any idea that he's touched prior to that moment. That partly comes from the fact that he belongs to a social class where he doesn't believe this is something that affects people like him.
It feels like all your pain is just melted away, and then you're just left with this like very present feeling that Penance gets to share with Augie. I think she's the only one who sees this and understands it and realises it.
It hits Amalia somewhere deep in her soul that this means something very unique and special for the touched. She knows that kind of Mary is the way forward with this.
Malady thought that she was the chosen one, she was the special one. But Mary's got this bigger power over more people and queries, hang on a second, I thought it was just me. So that's why she chooses to kidnap Mary and just to gain more information. There's more going on than what Malady first understood.
Mary is a big key person that we didn't even know that we had to find.
Just let me have a go. Just let me have a go.
No.
And that sets off like a massive chain of events.